So much for sharing your views on this very sensitive subject with
My,
me.
my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast.
Yeah. So, I guess the main thing is our community having such troubles with the high divorce rate. And I was wondering your thoughts about, whether we're adequately preparing our men for marriage or not, like if there's something else we can do to further that effort.
Right. Um, I'm going to pick up on the fact that you talk about the man because I think, there are two people in a couple, but we'll focus on the man for now.
Yes, we have the Hassan teacher here. I'm a
Right,
college.
we're the person teacher. Then you on the other side of the screen is a college teacher as well. So that's an opportunity for the two of us to discuss it, and just, but I think the to me, I mean, a lot of the preparation, and I've changed a lot over the years, and incorporating a lot of more of that is really the male-female interaction, and which is new for each side, if so to speak, in terms of within the context of marriage. They may have siblings, and of course, every person has a mother and hopefully a father present. But the communication is different. The understanding of each other is different. So a lot of that has been introduced and needs to be introduced even more. So the awareness of the differences between people, between genders, and between these two elements of the couple, who is what, and what role they're playing. So that's something that it's being incorporated. I took a training years ago, maybe by now would be maybe almost 10 years ago, from Israel. Hechal Shlomo, the Rabbinate of Israel was offering a course for Chassan teachers. And part of the components that they had was that, and understanding the difference between male and female. And they were making the argument that a lot of couples struggle with that, understanding the roles and understanding the differences. So that's something that's been on the radar of people for many years. In progressive America, in Israel, so people are talking about that. So I think this is something that is important to mention. And what goes on in the bedroom is also something that is important. But even outside of that, a lot of communication issues, a lot of understanding of self and understanding of the other that really needs to be incorporated and more.
Do you think that a session or two prior to them getting married, which they would be able to learn conflict resolution would be in order, since there's such trouble with this situation?
I think it's important. I think that needs to be introduced. Although for many, that remains, it's like learning how to ride a bike from a book. Or a conversation. So once you're married already, whatever the training or whatever whatever classes were shared, information was shared,
So
becomes a little more real. So I think there needs to be done follow up. Yeah, a follow up, like a before introduction before and some follow up after.
mhm.
That's more important.
Is there follow-up from the Hassan teacher with the Hassan after? Do you remain the mentor for this boy so that he comes to you? And wait, I have another part to the question. And do you feel that you could be a bridge by getting to stay with the Hassan after getting married to be able to refer him out to a trauma therapist, a urologist, a different particular kind of a Rav for the shilas that are coming up, or even a gynecologist? Like, shouldn't we have on hand as mentors for them in the Tarsa Mishpacha training these other individuals that could be resources that we would, when we detect misalignment in what we're seeing in the couple? I think because we're the first line resource for these couples, we have a very big opportunity to be able to get them going in the right direction. Most college teachers, as far as I know, don't stay in touch with the Hassan teachers, and they don't even have any contact with the Hassan teacher. And I think that this is really not okay. I don't know why that is, but I think we need to do that more and become more of a resource for these kids getting married. They're lost and they don't share their problems with family members or anybody else. They kind of seclude themselves, and they're very protective over their relationship. And unfortunately, it just compounds itself with different crises that come up into the relationship. And by the time, a year, a pregnancy later, they forget why they even got married in the first place. And they don't, and it's like you kind of got to resuscitate the couple in my office.
Sure.
So it's like, can't we avoid all of this somehow with the Chassan teachers and the Kala teachers, the Chassan teachers, taking a stronger role in staying with this couple? Like,
I
how do we do that?
I mean, you've said a lot, and there's a lot to unpack, many different levels. There certainly should be. I would say on the practitioner side, on terms of the Kala teacher, the Chassan teacher, I think there should be an effort to make themselves available and to really convey the message. I'm here for you. I'm available. Not because we finished the course. That means we'll say goodbye, and we're trying to build a relationship. Now, like every relationship, we're talking about two people, and they have to click and they have to feel comfortable with each other, and it doesn't always happen. Whether it's a teacher in a classroom or even parents. I'm sure as a parent, you may have children you feel they're closer to you and they will talk to you about anything, and there's another child that we're not going to talk about anything.
Yeah.
So on our part, we certainly have to convey the message. We have to convey the message that many things and many issues are normal and treatable, and it's okay to talk about it. And I've learned over the years, and I don't know, if 30 years ago I didn't have that awareness, and things have changed, and I incorporate a lot of that. And over time, as I learn more and I get more experience and practice, I will tell them, different things may happen, and it's okay, and don't worry. And there are options, whether it's it's a therapist of this kind, a doctor that kind. Options are there. We could talk about it. Could be a text. I'll give you a reference number, referral or whatever it is. So we certainly have to make ourselves available, convey that message. There's no shame in talking about things, and things are happening. Things are normal. And I like to tell the Chassanim I learn with that sometimes later, after 6 months or a year, they may ask themselves, why did I get married? And did I make a mistake? And I tell them also, I'm telling you that not that you should freak out now. So you should know when it happens. If it happens, it's normal. Don't get panicked. That's just a stage in the evolution of your couple. So that is what we can do, I think. And certainly you mentioned about the connection and the conversation, the communication between Chassan and Kala teachers. That would be so crucial and so important. I don't think it's done enough at all. Um, we should need to find its nearest framework for that to happen, and I'm not sure what that would look like, but it's something that needs to be done. And then the rest, once we convey the message, once we tell them, the young people, that we're there for them and there are resources and so on, we can only hope that they're going to come to us. I don't think that we could push the agenda and force them to communicate, but we have to convey the message that we're available.
I think because sex has been such a taboo subject, that's very hard for people to speak about it. We think about it, but we don't talk about it very much. And do you think that the element of halacha versus the hashkafa should either be split, and somebody that's more comfortable speaking about sex and the how-to would be a more appropriate person to sit with the men, even the women, as opposed to the Kala and the Chassan teacher? Do you feel that the Chassan teachers are adequately trained to speak about in-depth, explicit sexual how-to with someone? Like, how are you trained in that? Because we're living in a very overexposed generation here. And these kids if we don't teach them in depth what they want to know, it's like you need to arm them with information before they go into their wedding night. And if
Right.
we don't do that, they're going to be fooling around on the internet with porn and Google and all sorts of things, and getting sources that are not what we want to give them. So how Do we need as college teachers and lesson teachers a further continuing education course that deals with this? We're in an emergency situation in the world right now because of the internet. So how do we cope with that to arm us with more information, make it easier for us to speak about sex, which is uncomfortable, and be able to give this over to these kids so that they can have what they need?
Right. It's an excellent point. I don't know if the solution, and maybe that is the solution, but I don't know if the solution is to create another layer of the training, adding another person to make appointments with, and so on, because that just complicates things for everybody.
Right.
So, as much as they're need, I mean, it's not just, the what happens in the bedroom, it's whether it's finances. Kids all of a sudden become responsible for their bills. How do we manage money? How do we manage conflict? How do we manage vacation time? You want to go to the ocean and I want to go to the mountains.
Exactly.
Or dealing with the in-laws. There's a lot of different things that could be addressed, should be addressed. So intimacy is one of them, and I don't necessarily feel that we need another person unless the chassan teacher or the college is not comfortable, which I think then they wrong field. Then
No, but what happens is because there's holes, a lot of holes in this subject, they eventually turn to sex and relationship coaches or what have you.
right,
There is another person involved, but it ends up down the road later on. So I'm trying to circumvent that trauma and stress on the couple to kind of do it up front and educate the college teachers and the Husson teachers with more information. I'm not trying to turn them into therapists.
right.
I'm
That yes,
a bridge. Like I know that you read my book.
yes,
I tried in that book to give the Husson teachers and the college teachers what to ask and deal with them while you have them. Because
right.
once they leave, they're gone. And
That's what I was. Yeah.
control over the situation, and then they're getting divorced because they have no resources. So, like, how do we address that?
Right. So that's what I was saying. I don't know if we have to send the young couple to another person, at least not at the beginning, but the college teacher, should they themselves be more informed, more educated, better educated? So yes, this should be. And I think there's an effort. Like I said, about 10 years ago, I took the training from Hechal Shlomo. Rabbi Yisroel was offering courses. There's an organization I'm aware of in Crown Heights that forms and speaks about that and try to train the Chassan teachers. So I think there's an awareness. I think we have to, take advantage of that awareness and really push better training for the Chassan teachers and college teachers and make sure to fill those gaps that you speak of.
Mhm.
That I think that's we have an interesting community, which is those teachers. They're already in the field. They hopefully care about it, want to do the right thing. So I
Good.
think this is the crowd that we need to address and touch more than necessarily the young couple who have so much on their hands, before the wedding, and they have to remember all that information. I think to let them know that there are issues and there are solutions. Maybe that's enough, at the beginning
Mhm.
for the wedding, and then 3 months later, no, check in. 6 months later, check in or something like that.
Yes. Like we have the young husband after, the wedding. I don't know if he has mastery over his body or urges or what have you to be able to understand how to please his wife sexually, quite frankly. And I think that before the wedding, he would benefit tremendously from learning cognitive behavioral therapy. So certainly when he's going into this first time situation, he would be more able to actually do what he's supposed to do, which is to please his wife, and remain in the state of, curiosity and investigation and as opposed to becoming a trauma situation for her, because what do you expect if you don't work with the boy in being able to control these natural, totally natural urges before he goes into a situation like that. How, I mean, cognitive behavioral therapy is not so difficult to give over to another person, and working with them on that level beforehand could help the situation on the wedding night.
Hmm.
What do you,
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And on the other end, the caller should be able to share her feelings and the desires and wants and don't want. And that's that may be more difficult on the female side to be able to open up and to share. But yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
no, but what's going wrong on the wedding night is generally it's very unfamiliar what's going on
Yes, absolutely.
these two people. And, she's in a very awkward situation. And then he is like just out of control a lot because he needs to be prepared for the uncontrollable situation. I think it's just unfair to send him into a situation like that without any formal preparation. And I wonder if that's being addressed in the Chassan training.
To the best of my knowledge, it has been addressed. Yes, yes, and there is that awareness, and there is an effort, to address it, to talk about it, and to tell them, in so many different ways, not to rush into things, and to take the time, and to focus on her, and to be there for her.
No, but I mean practical
And the pra
how
uh,
to actually achieve that. I mean, it's just I think that's why I think if we could actually sit together and discuss how, not here, but how to go about actually preparing these two in a more comprehensive instead of like just this piecemeal theoretical, they'll figure it out kind of thing. They're not figuring it out because when they come in here and I see what it is, it's just like, wow, how did that happen?
right,
It's such misconceptions, where they're like not connecting.
right. Do you feel this represents an important number of the young couples, those that come to you afterwards with issues? Is that an important number?
Yes, I think, and I've had actually a lawyer reach out to me from a very from community, asking me what happens here. Why is there so many divorces in the young community here? Literally, it seems to be like an epidemic proportion. So I'm thinking, and she's like, what is being taught to these couples? I'm like, I can't only know what the Kala teachers are being taught. I don't know what the Chassan teachers are teaching the Chassans. That's why I was so happy that you would meet with me, because I really want to try to figure out how to address this situation here. It's going on a lot. It's really going on a lot, and they're not getting off to a good start
True.
because of the confusion and because of the resentment and what have you in the beginning. And then it's just left there because now Sheva brachas, and we got to get into the festivities of the families and all that kind of stuff, but they got to go home together.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we can't just leave them in that situation. And excuse me for saying,
I
we
understand.
are kind
Eh,
of leaving them to figure this out on their own.
right. And you, in your experience, you feel that sexuality is the number one issue? Or in other words, my question is, if they would be trained on both sides, when something is going on, whatever it is, how
Yes.
to share it, how to bring it up, how to share it, how to understand the other person's perspective. Again, whether it's money, vacation, in-laws, whatever it may be. But do you think that sexuality is a bigger deal than other issues that may happen? Or they are all kinds of
There's
reasons?
a lot of expert women. One of the main questions, which I won't delve into here, but is, what is this orgasm thing?
Hmm.
They don't literally know what that is or what to expect, and they're not prepared for that properly on our side. Okay, there's not a lot of that being explained. The checking, yes. All of the halacha, yeah. But when
Right.
it comes to all the other stuff, it's kind of left for them to go figure it out. And I think that's the same thing with, I don't know. I think it's the same thing with the husband. You know, he's supposed to like control himself and figure this all out and become a mind reader and figure out what's going on. And it's like, where from? You know, so he starts futzing around with the internet and looking on, you know, stuff he shouldn't be looking at. Why is he doing that? Okay, there's curiosity, but he's looking because he wants to know how. How do I do this? And he's not getting very good role models over there.
No.
So that's the whole thing, you know, like how to get rid of all that and clean that up. So that is, I really do think classes for Hassan teachers and college teachers separately, okay,
Right.
but to up the level of like let's get it out here, let's talk about it, let's use the words that the organs are. Let's not be so shamed by this situation that we can't even discuss it. It's just not, it's not working in this generation.
Right.
They're too savvy and too out there and too exposed to be able to pull that off anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also wanted to bring up another question. I thought, what do you think of like, you know, the graduating classes of the high schools for the boys and the girls to have a mandatory course on, you know, body autonomy and self-image and, you know, just things that need to be brought up to these kids at a much earlier age, like the graduating age in high school, so that they can familiarize themselves with, you know, what's actually going on before they step out of high school and run out to go to college or whatever they do. They're not prepared to be let loose out in the world. We're doing very well in the families with the flip phones and keeping the internet under control. Yes, but when they step out of the bubble, they don't know what to do with it. So that's why I'm like, well, if we don't address it before it starts and give them the information before they start looking for it, we don't have any control over, again, we lose control of the youth, really young.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been in high schools of young girls in the graduating, you know, classes of just talk to them about this kind of stuff. They are out to lunch. You know, it's just they're a very unfocused generation because I guess because of the internet and because of the phones, and it's very hard for them to sit still and listen. You know, and it's like we have to do something to train them for the future, and they're good. These are going to be young married couples.
Yeah.
Like, so what do we do? Like, how can we fix this? Is there any way to fix
I
this?
think my experience and you know I know of you know where I'm in Miami. I know the Chabad School for girls in Miami. They do have those conversations with the girls in terms of body image and other things like that. You know, things that you mentioned, and you know whether
How about dating? What to look for? Like structure, some sort of guidelines, like so they're not just aimlessly going out, oh, he's cute, I'm cute, let's get together. Yeah,
right.
like
So those conversations happen. I don't know. I think in the high school senior classes, seminaries, you know, in Chabad seminaries. So this is the you know the crowd and the community I'm familiar with. So I know these conversations happen. Um, in the boys, it's getting more present. The girls, I think, we're always a little ahead in terms of the education and the format of the education and the curriculum and so on. So it's happening. There is a fantastic book, I forget the name, that came out recently about puberty for boys.
yes, from boys to men.
Right, correct.
Wasn't that a
Yes,
great book?
yes,
That was
yes.
a great book.
I wish I had access to that when my son was coming of age.
What a great
But
book.
yes,
Yeah,
so the conversation are happening. It's starting. It's starting. We're certainly moving in the right direction.
good.
Um, you know, with the boys, there's a certain balance that we want to get. You know, with that, you know, getting, you know, keeping it. I would say sanitized in some way. I don't know if that's the right word. Um, but I think we're heading in the right direction. I think things are moving. Different people are trying to do it from different angles to approach that. And in terms of dating, and Rabbi Manis Friedman speaks a lot about that. And again, within the Chabad community and outside, the awareness is rising. And I think it's happening. Could it do more and a better job? 100%. But we're in the right direction, I feel.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for speaking with me. I appreciate
My
it.
pleasure, my pleasure. And hopefully we're going to accomplish great things.
Yes, amen. Thank you.